This is the Silt versus role-playing game Family Ties Part 6. We are in the middle of a couple of active assignments, the Hungering Roots, the Floating Market, and the Bowered Companion. Right now in the Floating Market, you have determined that the gloam must be dealt with, and we've got a few clues in aid of that. But right now, there are no custodians currently working on that one, with Japheth and Zeph having traveling somewhere else. The Hungering Roots is in play. Here we have three different questions, all variations of how to deal with this trapped harvest god, which is kind of breaking free from its confines and affecting the sort of surrounding community a little bit. And then we have the Bowered Companion. We have not actually done anything with Bowered Companion yet, so I might reintroduce it whenever the characters go there. That's actually what I want to pick up with, though. Zeph and Japheth, for your journey, are you going to the Bowered Companion, or are you going somewhere else? That I didn't catch from my review of the videos where you're actually going.
I felt like we were trying to go to the Hungering Roots to like meet all back up again,
Oh, okay, I
is
see.
my vague recollection.
Yeah,
Okay, that makes sense to me. Okay,
it's my
cool.
recollection also. I actually had a question I came up with too. Hypothetically,
Hmm.
like just the two of us are doing the journey move right now, but
Right.
if we were using the vehicle to pick people up, would all four of us be doing a single journey move, or would we be doing a double journey move for Zeph and Japheth?
Well, Zeph and
Like
Japheth,
journey to the Hungry News.
they, Zeph and Japheth are. I don't think I follow what you mean. Like that, you two are
So
journeying
let's say
to.
Zeph and Japheth go to the Hungering Roots.
Right.
I forget the name of the town. Um,
It's not
and
identified. Yeah.
okay, anyway, we do the journey move to get there.
Mhm.
Then we basically just pick up our other two companions and keep traveling. Are
You
we
trigger
doing two
another
journey
journey
moves
move.
or just
Yeah.
one?
You trigger another journey move. Yeah. Or journey
Okay,
phase.
all
You
right,
trigger another journey phase, right?
all right, thanks.
It's all about phases. Are you in investigation phase or are you in journey
Gotcha.
phase? So, um, fantastic. So everyone's going to this grow facility east of Glottage then. Great. So let's pick up with that. Let's pick up with that scene then. With Zeph and Japheth. You have the car pulled over near uh, near where some wire-bitten child poles are going up. And we've described the sort of smell and horror of that situation already. But I think this might be a good time to kind of remind ourselves of how the actual move works, for the benefit of us as well as benefit of anyone who is watching the video right now. So the journey move says when traveling to another assignment, when you and at least one other custodian share a scene where you discuss your personal history or relationship to a divinity, you each clear a condition, with one caveat there, then stumble on a clue. Custodians in the scene should tell the keeper what the clue is, etc. Alternatively, while alone, you may engage in your personal ritual to clear an appropriate condition. Custodians can only participate. Oops, one second. Custodians can only participate in the journey move once per journey phase. Now, we do have a slight wrinkle here because of Japheth. Because of Japheth's move as a Pox monk, cannot clear conditions in this way, but Japheth can engage in personal ritual by himself in order to find a clue. So if you want to have the scene together to trigger the move for Zeph, that's great, and then kind of break apart and do some other things together. Other things, I think that's fine as well. But what does this scene look like to start? Who wants to frame it up?
So we pulled over, and Japheth is still blind, so Zeph has to drive. So I think that there's that kind of road weary look in their eyes, not that Japheth can notice it. And there's a certain amount of just quiet reflection that I think has been kind of consuming them. I don't think that Zeph would start a conversation, even if we get like back into the car and get back on the road again. I'm like helping Japheth step up into the car and then kind of like slam my door too hard, and just kind of peel out, dust and rocks kicking up towards the wire bitten child behind us. And I'm wondering if I, instead of triggering the move with Japheth, can use my personal ritual
To clear condition? Yeah, what is it?
Because he can't clear a condition,
Hmm.
does it matter? I guess is my
No, I
question.
think that's perfectly fine. What is your personal ritual?
I skip stones,
Okay,
and I
so
specifically have a stone that snaps back to my altar, which is just kind of a bundle of sharp bones and other things. And so I think that it's me just pitching this rock out the side of the moving car and watching it in the mirrors as it bounces and then snaps back into my altar. And so you just hear this click periodically,
Oh, that's
just
good. I like it.
as the car is rolling on. It almost sounds like a mechanical defect.
That's clever. How are you? Which condition are you aiming to clear then?
I think that, hang on, too many tabs. Once again, I'm trying to clear being watched. I was being stalked by the thugs at the floating market, and then we kind of learned that they were kind of tied into the conspiracy. So I'm hoping that the view of the road in the rear view mirror just
Puts that
like
out
a
of your
drive
mind.
away from
Yeah.
that problem.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. Absolutely. That sounds good to me. So in this case, then we just have the one clue from Japheth doing Japheth's personal ritual. So Japheth, what does that look like? Like what's
Yeah.
going on?
So my ritual is kicking a can down the road, and I
Yeah.
think hearing the echo of the skipping stone ricocheting down the pavement, kind of fading Doppler effect into the distance. I'm like, what are you doing, Zeph? What is? Are you like spitting tobacco out the window or something?
No, it's a rock. Sorry, I forgot you can't see what I'm doing. I'm throwing a rock out the window and
Oh,
it comes
oh,
back to me.
so you're throwing a rock out the window more than once. Same rock.
It comes back to me.
All right. The sound of that reminds me when I was in my younger days. I used to do a bit of that shell game with tin cans. Put a little rock underneath, shuffle it around, get people to try and guess where the stone was underneath the can. It was a way for me to make a little living, make some money to get some food to eat. I think that's kind of where I picked up my habit of kicking cans down the road. There's a certain sense of comfort in that empty can and the rattle of it rolling down the street. Um, and then I think as we hit some stopping point, get out of the car to stretch or whatever, that I accidentally kick a can that's on the side of the road, like hear that, and it rolls away. And then that, in terms of the clue I gain, I think it reminds me, like now that I'm blind, I'm a little more attuned to audio, and that I wasn't really paying attention when we got into the car back at the floating market. And the clue is the sound of like a gurgle underneath the pier. Like the gargoyles that make the water kind of make that blubbly noise. So there's sort of that like a gurgly uh, device must be underneath the pier making a noise.
Oh, how interesting. So this is for floating market?
Yeah, I think so. If that works, we still need clues for it.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
It
Cool.
seems to
So,
tie together conditions and events.
yeah, no, I think it's really interesting. Go ahead and mark that clue down on that assignment. And is there anything else you both want in this scene?
I think I have to reply with a time that I also felt orphaned by a system, right? Don't we have those
Oh, the
plot
recall a
points?
time.
Yeah,
Wait, are you talking about the recall a time prompt from the
I
journey?
am. I am
Oh
recalling.
yeah, no. So I kind of interpreted what you both were doing was just like kind of ignoring each other, doing your personal rituals. So yeah, this doesn't feel like a vulnerable moment between the two of
Understood.
you. Yeah.
I was going for that as well. I just didn't know mechanically
No,
if that
no, no,
also
no,
had.
yeah, no, no, no.
Thank you.
You don't actually, you actually don't have to do the recall of time, but I do think that like the recall of time does help like focus the scene and make it clear that you are opening up to each other and like talking about your past and stuff. So yeah, which triggers that version of the journey move, right?
Understood.
Fantastic. I love it. Gauge the compost heap. It is a space. Kind of round back, uh, very still, humid air, thick with fruitful decay. is what you're sort of walking into with Gale. Sodden floorboards collapsed under a mountain of rotting vegetation and scattered soil. Spiraling tubes collect muddy green runoff in buckets for some unknown purpose. Let's paint the scene, everyone. What disturbing materials have been added to feed the soil?
I'm gonna say just those like I don't know why it makes sense, but those little baby dolls, kind of like almost like a Koopy doll kind of thing. Like you just see the heads of those little babies and like a little arm sticking out of the compost heap every once in a while.
I want to add on top of that because there's a very specific process in organic winemaking in which they will take a skull and fill it full of manure and bury it in a certain ritualistic way. And I think that that's what's happening is they're um, filling the heads of these dolls and burying them strategically as if to perform a ritual.
I don't really like. I don't know. I've got an idea, but I don't really like it that much. See if I can twist it a little bit. That there are some rib cages where they've set up some glass panes inside, so they're kind of trapping heat, and they'll shift those around so that it gets hotter, steamier underneath those particular sections.
I'm having a hard time thinking of something that's more disturbing than baby dolls filled with manure.
Skulls.
Yeah.
Um, so, what do you do, Gage, when you're here? Gale kind of, I think, will sort of like leave you to it a little bit, just to kind of give you the scene. You've had a lot of interactions with Gale at this point. Um, I'll also remind you of a couple of little story beats from last time. The most important one, maybe not relevant at this moment, but I think it's important to note that you and Gail pondered the possibility of Pickles being a god and Lucas being its angel. So, just one little note there. We also established that we think that Lucas is much older than he appears to be, possibly. So,
With that in mind, and I think given uh, the connection that I have with Lucas now, we established that this place at one point was a school and that Lucas
mhm.
may have been in attendance when that was the case.
Yeah, but the timing
Uh,
doesn't work out. But it's possible. But like
right.
that. But that's what makes it weird, right? Yeah.
I think I would like to. I think Gage would be looking for some, as well as looking around the compost heap. He'd be looking for some sign of what this place used to be, and maybe if there's any hints remaining.
I like that. Go ahead and make the whatever we call it in this game, the information move. I think is what it is. Go ahead and make the information move, and um, you don't have any conditions that will apply to it, but I do think insight is probably the right stat here.
3.
Three, great. We love a three. Oh, where do I want to go with this? How interesting. I'll think about it for a moment. Basil, you are down in the altar space. This is kind of the sort of the literal nerve center of this whole operation. This is where they have this. Well, I'll just read it. They have this massive earthenware pot etched in prayer marks, split and cracked, blood red tendrils and pale shoots coming out, rich black soil, all over the place, cradled by glistening bone white roots, and all of these like really strange like kind of systems whereby the people interact with it, like they're constantly giving it worship. One of the details I remember is that like you you like clock in every day by basically giving a little bit of your blood to the thing, um you're down here, nobody else seems to be around, you kind of have the run of it. You escaped. I don't think it's going to be super safe for you to go back up right now. What do you do?
I am going to write a prayer mark to turn this space into a writing cell for a long dead worshiper of the Scrivener. Um,
Oh, this is one of your.
I'm
Is this your
using
new move?
Phantasmagoria Scriptoria.
Phantasmagoria
Yes.
Scriptoria. I remember when I wrote this move. You can write a prayer mark somewhere to turn that space into a writing cell for a long dead worshiper of the Scrivener, an angel of your faith. I think this was the first move that was ever written for the game, in fact. If you do so,
Whoa.
roll with communion.
Uh-huh. And I will be using some of my sacred ink for this. This feels like
Love
a
that.
very sacred place.
I think so.
And so I get to roll with
With advantage.
advantage, I
Yeah, you do.
believe. And that is going to be a 12.
Nice. On a
Not that
hit.
that matters, but yeah.
Yeah, on a hit, a ghostly writer will be drawn to the writing cell and begin transcribing sheet after sheet of knowledge from the other side. Any roles associated with actions the angel helps you with are taken at advantage. On a 10 plus, the angel won't ask for anything in return. What does this look like? I really want the scene here. What's going on?
Your audio just cut out, Jason.
Oh, sorry.
But
I was just saying. Yeah, this angel appears, starts writing sheet after sheet of information from the other side, and you get advantage
mhm, mhm,
whenever
mhm.
you use it. What does this look like? I just want to know like what this is like.
Yeah, I think as Basil's kind of like wandering around the room, he's just doing his sort of like writing recipes and is maybe tasting a little bit of the blood transfusion, like that type of thing, and gets the little taste of it, and you can kind of see him go, hmm. And he pulls out his sacred ink and like writes this. And we said there's like it's like a big urn in the center of it. Is that, am I
Yeah, kind of a
remembering this
cracked
detail?
a big giant cracked pot. Yeah.
I think I drop this like one where I'm normally just like dropping them around. I drop this one into the center of the big pot. And I think that um I think it's sort of like it's an angel, so I can do this. A chimera kind of effect that it's just like we see like hogs and we see cows and we see bird wings. It's just like this whole amalgam of different things that kind of like uh ghostly ghastly like summons up from the pot from the urn, um and maybe I'm just handing it papers, and it's taking them and it's just like writing on them with its like hooves and like, or maybe it's even the tongues. Ooh, I like this idea. The tongues have like ink, it's almost like a ballpoint pen, and they're just like writing things, and there's just like I'm handing it these things, and all of these different like heads and parts are just writing and writing and writing, and there are these, yeah, it's piling up around the room.
What do you want to know?
Oh God, what do I want to know? um, I I want to know more about how this room is connected into what they're producing. Yeah, I think it's almost just kind of like investigating the mystery for whatever it's worth. Uh, but I feel like this is sort of like, if this feels like the epicenter, that having this sort of like epicenter of my faith and like creating that connection between these two core divinities is going to give me special insight.
I like it very much. Make the information move with communion at advantage because the angel's helping you.
Um, 7, 8.
All right. I owe you a clue. We will come back to that in a moment. Interesting scene, though. Japheth and Zeph, you have arrived. You might see Gage and Basil's vehicle there. You get there at the time of day that it's kind of middle of the day at this point. You don't know where they're at. You have no communication with them unless unless you can all manage to get to a phone. Um, you see the tenement Not much activity over there, at least in the courtyard, as best you can tell. It is a work day. You do see that the Grove facility, this big like warehouse with some satellite buildings, you do see a number of people roaming around there. And um, yeah, so Zev, what do you do?
I think that if I see Gage engaging with yet another compost heap, knowing the problems we had with our last one, I think that would probably be the direction I would head. Also, it would be a way of me getting closer to the facility without, I have an inn over there, I think.
I have a feeling a big pile of compost with people parts in it might be of interest to the Karen Maiden. Just
I have thoughts
thought.
about.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thought. Um, Japheth, what are you doing?
I'm calling out. It's like, Zeph, where are you going? Wait for me. I remember I start whacking
Can't
my cane
see.
on the ground. I can't hold my hand.
Oh, do I disappear? No, I'm not that annoyed with you. The smell of the takeout's mostly gotten out of the car at this point. Zeph's just been driving down with the windows. I think as the smell has receded, so has their irritation. So I'll offer an arm and take your cane away. Don't hit me with this.
That's very kind of you. Are there town folk about? I feel like I hear
I would like to suggest that before
voices.
you can take Japheth's arm, you actually see the Cairn Maiden. The Cairn Maiden, her robe, you see the edge of it go around a corner. Like just, and you hear the soft whisper of the cloth against the concrete. Just a whoosh as she goes around the corner. You know it's her. What do you do?
Japheth, you brought this upon yourself, monk. Here. And I just hand his cane back to him and I go darting around the corner.
I love it. I love it. The Cairn Maiden has a plan for you. Please mark fate. The Cairn Maiden wants you to go into the compost heap and reassemble the bones of a body that was buried in this
Now is
soil.
the time you want me to fix puzzles. Really, this is. And that will just stand there looking at the compost heap, seeing what Gage is up to for a second before
You see
going in.
Gage, yeah. Javeth, you were just left alone then with
Yeah, and
trying to navigate, not being able to see for a newly blind person. What do you do?
I'm definitely gonna stand there for a moment, calling out, Zeph, 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 and then finally just kind of try and listen to where I hear any voices or people. Hopefully, some kids making fun of me by now, and I'll
Um,
tap
I
my
like
way over.
I like the idea of you first feel something brush up against your leg near your calf and ankle, and then you feel a small hand take your hand, and a boy says, "Here, let me help you."
Oh, thank you. That's very generous of you. I usually I'm the one doing the helping, but in this moment, I'm the one in need, I guess.
The boy says, "It seems like maybe you haven't been blind for very long."
No, matter of matter of days, and I kind of like rub my eye and a
Probably just
little.
hours, to be honest. It's probably not
Right, yeah.
days. Yeah.
Um, rub my eye and there's like a little ripple as an insect crawls around within.
He says, "Well, that just means you are at the start of a new life.
True that.
We all have
That's,
9 lives."
and which number are you on, young lad?
He says, "Hmm, that's, well," he kind of like gets a little like tense and kind of squeezes your hand a little tighter. And he says, I don't remember the number anymore, but I've just started a new one with a new person.
Sounds thrilling. Tell me more about it.
He says, no, this is your story to tell. So, what life do you think you're on?
Oh, I the first, but it's been momentous and probably the only one I'll have.
No, you're definitely on at least the second or third.
What makes you so sure of that?
Well, your new affliction represents the start of a new life in the philosophy of the nine lives. And so, how many came before?
Oh, then I'm
Maybe it's the
getting
fourth or fifth.
I, probably a bit more than that. It might be pushing 9.
You shouldn't think that your age has anything to do with it. I know people on their ninth life who are children.
Is that there's something tangling around my ankle? Is that one of your 9 live companions?
I wouldn't worry about him.
It's just that I got the allergies, you know.
Where do you want him to take you?
I was trying to look up does this town have a name? Where the
It's not a
hunter is?
town. It's just like a suburb of
Suburb. Okay.
Glottage. Yeah,
Okay. Thank
like
you. Got it.
it's just a big tenement building with it's been implied that there's like some small like convenience store type things. That's what Taj, is that his name? Taj gets deliveries for like some of the people, the shut-ins and stuff at this tenement building. And
Okay.
then the people who work there and who also work at the grow facility also live in the tenement as well.
All right. So then I'll say to this kid 2 things. Say, you know, will you tell me your name, and also can you help me post up by this building on a curb somewhere where I'm, you know, can just sort of listen to passerby. I'm gonna probably have to wait a bit for my friends to come back.
He says, "Oh, are your friends the agents from Based?"
But indeed they are, or at least 2 of them.
Oh, okay. They went to the grow facility. I'm sure they'll be back soon.
Is it far? Do you want to take me there?
I
And
suppose I
again, child,
could.
what's your name?
I suppose I could, but I don't like to go in there.
Oh, threatens your lives.
Bad memories, we'll say.
Hmm, understandable. Well, why don't you escort away?
And he does. How are you feeling right now?
It's a little odd for me to be needing somebody else's help. Usually, I'm the one taking illness from others, and in this case, it's a definitely an experience to have to navigate the world differently and put myself in the hand of a child who may or may not be mortal.
I want to memorialize the scene with a condition called the Nine Lives.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's pick back up with Gage and now Zeph. Gage, you got a miss, right?
I did, yes.
I think to kind of tie it in with what's going on with Zeph, you see a small skeletal hand in the compost, the hand of a child. There's still something on the wrist, a, like a bracelet or something. There's still something like on the bones that is very much like something Lucas has on his person.
I think seeing that, and maybe not seeing Zeph yet, Gage is going to kind of lean in and just with the tip of his finger start scraping away at the compost near the wrist, trying to see how far down this hand goes.
Zeph is wondering if the maiden, just for a moment, wonders, not Gage, not now.
You
And
can
sees him
pull,
crouch.
yeah, you can pull the hand out. It's just the hand, but you do hear like a little like, well, I think it's just the hand and maybe like a little bit of like the forearm, right?
And the bracelet or whatever it is around the wrist, maybe I'll just take that off.
Sure. What is it though that makes you that is like what Lucas has on, or Lucas has with him, or something like that? I know he had that symbol
I
thing, but
think it is, yeah, I think this is something that very much uh, looks like prayer beads
mm,
to, or what we would think of as prayer beads.
mm,
And it's the same kind of mismatch of colors and
mm,
maybe even wrong sizes.
interesting. Yeah, I like that. Um, I'm going to give you a condition called Corpse Dad. Zeph, you're here to assemble a skeleton out of the compost heap. That's what the Cairn Maiden
Um,
wants you to do. That's what your
no,
second fate mark is for. Um, what are you doing right now?
I am so angry at her in general. Like, her sense of humor is not fucking funny. I think that I will see what Gage has got in his hands. I said, I would put that down if I were you.
Turn to look at Zeph and kind of give a very uh, up and down of the eyes and say, "Hero, nice of you to join us."
Us. Who's the hand?
Basil's around here somewhere.
Oh, well, I'm sure he's licking the walls and finding out sorts of interesting things. No, but seriously, put that down.
Okay. And he'll just put the hand back down on the pile. What's the issue?
God stuff. And Zeph is going to just like slam, like press their boot onto the hand to push it deeper into the compost by packing it down and then just brush something over it. Don't worry about it. It's my problem for later.
Right. Usually the harvest gods are only interested in the parts that decay. Once it gets to bone, not so interesting.
Well, the bone crow that follows me around would say otherwise.
Oh, your god stuff. I got it.
So, what do you know about this place?
Well, not a heck of a lot. They have a harvest god here. They're keeping it very well fed, working it harder than it probably likes.
How long do you expect it'll be before it outgrows the facility altogether?
Oh, it's already outgrown. Just happy enough for now that it's not causing a problem.
Well, let's find Basil and see if we can figure out how to bring this thing to heal.
Speaking of Basil, your phantasmagoria, this bizarre, like chimeric phantasm writing things with its ink tongue on sheets of paper you hand it. It's just writing the same thing over and over and over again. It's writing over and over and over again. Oh, now I've lost it. Damn it. Oh, all things decay but bring forth new life. 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 And because you got a complication on your clue finding, I'm going to give you that as a condition as well. All things decay but bring forth new life. What do you do?
Hmm. Um. I think I am picking these up and I'm realizing that there's a pattern. Go. Um, I, I'm gonna let you figure things out here for a little bit. I'll be back to check in I don't know, 15 or so. Um, and I am going to kind of like go peek out and see if those like zombie plant people getting eaten by bugs have been appropriately eaten by bugs yet,
This is
or
kind of like a you like lifting the hatch and looking,
yeah.
yeah, looking, see what you see. The coast seems clear. Yeah.
Um, so I'm going to crawl out and I'll kind of shout back like, I'll be back. Just keep writing. There's plenty of paper. There's plenty of things to write on. I'm sure you'll come up with something good.
You can
And
take another information move, but you won't get the clue until you go back and see what I
okay,
wrote. Yeah,
I like that. That makes sense.
with advantage again.
And that's going to be a 10.
Nice. Okay, so I owe you a clue, which you can retrieve later. So, where do you head?
Um, around, I'm just gonna snoop. I assume that I might loop in with the group or bump into the group, or I might bump into something worse than the group.
You've been to the growing room. You've been to we well as a group we've seen the compost heap. We do have the processing area, which is where they have all the like packing materials. I think we talked about that a little bit too, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
we did.
Yeah,
Yes.
Haven kind of took you there. There's also things like break rooms. There's also like sort of like there's like a little smoke break area, outside, that kind of thing.
Oh, I could use a smoke.
You tend to like do your best work with like workers
Yeah,
relaxing.
yeah,
Yeah.
just hanging out. Yeah,
Like hanging out, chilling. Um, Obviously be on your guard for the people who might be taken over by the plant. I think that's probably the biggest danger as far as this
right,
goes.
right.
What are you doing to ensure that you don't run into any of those types?
Ooh. Um, I mean, I think I probably can recognize them. I'm trying to remember. Hopefully the character remembers this, but the player definitely does not. There were like tells to like how they looked, I think that we described in
Yeah, they
some
were like
way.
they had shit flaking all over off their
Yes,
skin and
yeah.
stuff.
So
Yeah.
I think that's going to be like before I approach anybody, I'm going to be like looking very carefully for that. And I think I am like approaching people from the back and the side. Like I'm not going to come head on with
Make another
anybody.
information move with composure.
Oh my gosh.
This time though, because you're being watched. Although, well, this is by Pickles though. Never mind. Yeah, the
All
pickles
Pickles
the
loves
pickles
me.
thing saves you. Yeah, just 2d6 with insight. Nah, with
Um, with
composure
with composure, my composure
or not
is
focus. Focus. Yeah.
focus. My
This
focus
is the
is
last time we ever
to
make a game where it doesn't use those normal stat
the
names.
normal.
Yeah, we're never doing that again.
10 again.
10. Okay, good. Fantastic. Okay, so I owe you two clues then. Two good, clean clues too. And we'll come back to that in a bit. I want to check in with Japheth. Japheth, you're just kind of set up. You can't see what they look like, but you do hear a woman. The waver in her voice makes you think she's older. And she says, "Oh, good to see another old timer around here for once."
Yeah, it's good to be seen, I guess. Is that kid still around? Had a cat
What?
with him?
Oh, Lucas and Pickles?
Yeah.
Oh,
He
they're
just
they're delightful, aren't they?
he seemed thin, bony. I feel like I should have given him this sandwich.
No,
Uh,
you don't have to worry about Lucas. I've known him for years and years, and he always manages to take care of himself.
oh well, spend a fair amount of time with vending machines. This sandwich ought to go to somebody at some point. Are you hungry?
Sure, I love accepting offers of food from people I've met on the street.
when you put it that way. um, in part,
I'm just giving you a hard time, she says. My name is Patricia Morel.
Patricia Morel, named for
Hmm.
the fungus.
Oh, well, yes, I suppose so. I've heard every mushroom joke there is, trust me.
Yeah. So, have you lived here for all your life, Patricia?
Mm. Well, I've lived here for a good long while, yes. I was here, well, I've lived here since I was a little girl, in fact. Though not
Mm,
in this building. This building hasn't always been here.
what did they? If I remember correctly, I know I'm aware of the base information of the investigation from our bias briefing or whatever, our based briefing.
Hmm.
So then I'll ask Patricia, how what do they used to grow in this warehouse?
Make an information move with presence
All right,
and regular dice is fine.
all right. Oh, that's a 6.
A 6. Ooh, where do I want to go with this? I have some ideas. She she takes your hand and she leans forward and she says, "Well, it hasn't always been a grow facility, of course. It used to be a home for orphans."
That is indeed curious. I guess grow the children well
Yes.
makes a bit of sense.
But before that, it was the site of a very small but quite intense holy war.
Did this war involve the loss of multiple lives? Some might say 9 lives.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. There were some who believed that we shouldn't stop at 9, that indeed there was a hidden 10th life that one could access if you only opened yourself up to the possibilities. Indeed, you can achieve the 10th life by taking one of the 9 lives of another. She tightens her grip even more
Oh dear.
and says, "I can see you've got a good number of lives under your belt, friend. A good number indeed. I myself am on my 9th, and I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to last. I've got terrible, terrible bones. I've got things growing in me, thanks to those folks over there. And I can feel everything tightening and seizing up and liquefying and breaking down. But I'm a believer in the 10th life, friend." At this point, she's digging her fingernail into your palm. "I believe in the 10th life." And here you feel something slipping in between the seams of your shirt into your skin. I want the. I think it's the veiled move. It could. No, it's the revelation move. I think this is the revelation move in the sense of like you're learning this, you're having all this like intense religious revelation put upon you right now in the form of
Okay.
this form of faith. What do you afraid is going to happen right now?
Uh, I get devoured by Patricia, the fungal lady, and everybody comes back and just finds a pile of clothing and a cane sitting there where I used to
Yeah,
be.
she takes. I think she. Well, no, I think it's worse than that. She just fucking murders you, and then she gains new life, right? Um, and furthermore, I think I think some people from the grow facility come pick you up, make you part of the whole
Nice. Composted.
process. Yeah. This is going to be, how are you going to resist? What do you do to resist?
Okay, so two questions. You mentioned a revelation move,
Yeah.
or can I mark a verse to just boost up the success
Oh,
here?
just to avoid this entirely.
Yeah.
I'm into it. Yeah, sure.
Do you want revelation move first or
Oh, I see what you're saying.
bump the
No, I
success?
mean
Yeah.
you can always bump up the revelation move after you roll. But if you want to bump it up before even doing the roll, if you want to make it to where she never attacks you, that's fine as well.
Got it. Well, if I'm not dead yet, let's do the revelation move because it sounds good
So
in the
how are
sense of
you?
the
So how are
story.
you resisting? That's what I want to know.
So how am I resisting? I'm looking at my items that I've got toted in my altar here. I feel like I'm gonna pull out this deck of cards that are all mixed up and kind of say, but before you go any further, I do a little bit of fortune telling, divination from time to time, and shuffle them up. I just pick one of these, and I'll tell you about how you're going to come to your 10th life. I think I can get you there.
Okay, I like this. I think this is going to be probably with focus, or maybe even. Nah, and I think focus. Yeah, roll with focus.
All right, and
Um,
then is the deck of cards usable for advantage here?
it is usable for advantage.
Great.
I'm debating whether I think because you're marked by the 9 lives, I think I'm gonna cancel out your advantage though. It's just gonna be two d
Okay,
six. Yeah. But still mark you have to mark the cards still.
gotcha.
But yeah.
All right, that is an 8.
8. Um, you are going to resist. You are going to you are going to resist. I do think that the complication here or the difficulty that you're going to face on your 7 to 9 is that you will have to kill her,
Mm.
ending her 9 lives, which is probably really contra to Puck's monk ideals. But
Yeah, it's a good question. We heal
although you are being
illnesses. How do
attacked,
we
yeah,
feel about murder? Yeah.
yeah.
Like, are we necessarily pacifists?
If you don't want to deal with that, then obviously write a verse. But yeah,
Yeah. Let's write a verse because I've got one that I think will play in well with all this.
very good. We'll pick up the scene in a moment. Let's take a 5 minute break. I'll think about the clues that I owe you all, and then see where everybody's going to go from there. Basil de Champs, as you're looking around, keeping an eye out for infected workers, you will notice another clue. There are signs written in bold marker reminding workers to limit your exposure cycles. That's a clue. I'll post that there in chat for you. And I owe you another clue whenever you go back to the altar or go back to the scriptorium. Let's pick up the scene with Gage and Zeph. Where did we leave the two of you? You were like you were basically noting that you need to go put Lucas's body back together at some point, or some
I
alleged
hadn't
alleged
assumed it was
Lucas.
Lucas.
Yeah.
I had just like pushed that back deeper into the compost pile. I suppose I could do an investigate over in this land, or we could go inside. Gage.
We were to find Basil. That was what we left off trying to do.
Oh, that's right.
Indeed.
There was a sneaky.
You can meet back up with Basil. You might, in fact, since you're all kind of outside, Basil, you might. We'll just we'll kind of focus on Basil for a moment, and you all can join the scene. I think Basil, you're talking to someone who's having a cigarette right now. He introduces himself as Leo Mescal. He's a harvester here at the facility. He has long black hair, red bandana, a concentrated scowl broken by easy laughter. You'll find. He explains in your chatting that he's a forager and outdoorsman, has been for many years, and he's become really fascinated with the changing variety of gifts the god that you're all here looking into produces. He says, one season it gave us these little berries, hot as chilies, got you real fired up. Then the ice flowers, those numbed you or put you right to sleep. Lately, it's mostly been these sort of fungal blooms, a bit more aggressive, I find. Anyway, you're having this chat. What are you saying in the meantime?
Which one do you think tastes the best?
He's like, "Oh, I miss those chili flavored berries, but we don't really have a lot of control over whatever it wants to give us. It's actually it's like a surprise. You never know what you're gonna get,
Hmm.
you know?"
Is it something that you would ever want to get control of?
Make the information move with presence. Basil racking up the information moves. Let me take a look at your before you roll. Let me take a look at your conditions. Now you're good.
Um, it's a 5 on the table. Presence is
0.
0, so that's not so great.
Not so great. At a certain point, he's like going on, and then he stops. And his eyes like change color. With like they fill with like a kind of reddish, swirling reddish green fluid that begins running down the tear ducts. And he reaches for a trowel in his belt and just thrusts it at your chest. Um, unless you unless you write a verse, you're not going to die, but you need to write a verse to avoid that. Otherwise, we're going to get the others involved, or you're going to have to roll a move.
Um, oh boy.
Mike, would you put your mic down just a smidge? Thank you.
Yes. Better.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I'm not gonna die here, I kind of want to deal with the situation. I don't. I
I mean,
kind of want
I'm going to make you roll
to.
revelation
Yeah,
move. Yeah.
let's do that because I don't mind doing the verse of history here, but I am intrigued in just like letting this play out.
Make the revelation move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail to resist the attack?
I'm gonna have a trowel in one side and out the other.
In fact, Zeph and Gage come upon you. They come upon Leo Mescal harvesting your heart straight out of your chest.
Oh, now that's cool.
Do roll, or how are you going to resist?
How am I gonna resist? Um, I mean, I think uh, working in the yards and the farm, whatever, like I'm used to people getting angry at things that I'm saying and trying to hit me with a shovel. So I think I would pick up on that pretty quickly and probably do kind of like a deflect kind of move.
Hmm.
So I think it's a physical type of thing of just kind of like,
I think it's going to be a
uh,
fatality.
yeah. That is going to be a 7 on the table. I don't think that that's going to get up to a 10. So yeah, mixed.
Um, I think you managed to bat him away a little bit. He does manage to get his little. It's like a spade, really, more than a trowel.
Oh, okay, okay.
He kind of manages to like get it between your ribs, like he just jams you, and like you scream out in pain. Gage, Zeph, you hear that. You're not dead, and you are going to take a condition. Stab between the ribs. I don't know. And Gage, you'll come upon it. Zeph, you'll come upon it. What do the two of you do? Basil's still alive, kind of like bleeding a little bit.
Everyone today. And Zeph thinks, shit, Japheth. And is going to momentarily pause, thinking, okay, well, also in danger, but every single person I have run into today of my party has been in danger when I see them for the first time.
So you're gonna go take
Having
care of, or go check on Japheth and let Gage deal with this?
No, I think what's going to happen is Gage, by the way, Japheth decided to take on someone's blindness, and I left him, and I feel bad. We should fix it. But this first.
Yes, this first. And Gage is going to hobble forward and
You're hobbling.
Oh, that's right.
try and get like his arms around Leo's arms to restrain him.
Mm-hmm.
and pull him off of Basil.
Revelation move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
Uh, I'm not going to stop him before he manages to get his spade into my face.
Yeah, I think it's worse than that. He just does like a quick like um um I hmm. Yeah, I think he just does like a quick backwards stab right into your neck. Just like ugh. Um roll with vitality at disadvantage
Disadvantage.
if you wish to continue.
Yeah. I am wondering if I have a herd of horses who live at the estate home where my altar is. I'm used to wrangling
Okay. I was
animals
gonna say,
that
where's this going? Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, yeah, I'm into it. That'll make it 2d6 plus vitality.
that is a 8.
8. I think you take a condition, you get stabbed as well, but you otherwise are able to get the weapon out of Leo's hand. And you actually see that fluid dribble out of his eyes, and he doesn't seem like he knows where he's at. He's like, and he sees the blood on the two of you, and he's being held, and he's like, "Oh my God, what's going on? What happened?"
You and your damn spade happened.
He looks down, he says, "I what? No, I would never do anything like that."
We were just talking here. We were just having a conversation about what kind of things you like to eat, and all of a sudden, there's a troll coming at me.
Spade.
Zeph, what are you doing in the meantime?
Spade.
Spade.
So
I
one
like the
stab,
correction. It's a spade, actually.
the one stabbed person to on each side of him, holding him down. I think Zeph is just gonna do the crouch and stare.
at at Leo.
Uh-huh. And I'd
Really
like
appreciating
to
your help here, Zeph.
no, no, listen. Very quiet, very stoic. But Zeph would also just like wait patiently as the eye contact starts to slow him down. He stops panicking and he's just wondering what the fuck I'm doing.
Hmm.
And I would like to use my hollow gaze move
Oh,
and roll with some presence to see if I can ask him a question and
let's
get a
read
clue.
the hollow gaze. Most people aren't ready to meet their own death and find your closeness with the maiden to be disconcerting. Did you add one to your presence?
I did.
But you will lose a box from fate. We talked about that last time. That box can no longer be marked. Roll with advantage when acting to throw someone off guard, discourage unwanted attention, or de escalate the situation through patience and silence. And so it sounds like you are trying to What are you trying to do? Of
I'm
these
trying to
three things.
de-escalate the situation as he's like panicking and the fluid and
Hmm.
all the rest of that, but understand what just
I
happened.
love it. I will make it. I will give you the information move here.
And am I using presence?
Yes.
That is an 11 plus 1 is a 12.
Oh, very interesting indeed. Very interesting indeed. And oh, I know where I want this to go. We'll come back to this though. I want to check in with Japheth. Japheth, what'd you end up getting on your die roll to defeat Patricia Morel?
I think it was an 8, if I remember right.
Was it?
The
You
first
didn't
roll
bump,
was a 6. The second one was yeah, it was an 8 because we
but
canceled out the
you didn't bump it
advantage.
up. You didn't bump it up. Didn't you bump it up?
I went to use advantage, but you said the conditions counteracted it, so it was 8, and then
Did you write a verse that would make it a 10? That's what I'm trying to remember.
oh, sorry,
I think you did,
I
right?
did because she was going to murder Isaac. I was going to have to murder her. That's
You
why
had
I
to kill
bumped it
her,
up.
right? That's right. Yeah, yeah,
Right. So
yeah.
that's sorry, I forgot. I did
Um,
bump it.
do just give me the scene. How do you like de-escalate the situation? How do you de-escalate your situation?
Yeah. I have to admit I don't know a lot about card fortune telling in real life. So I'm just going to make up some crazy shit here.
There's a whole different world. You can do whatever you want.
Right.
In my other Silt versus campaign, we have cereal box tarot. So do what you want with that.
Terrific, because I kind of like the idea I'd mentioned earlier about some cards being like leftover menus and things. And scraps from other things. So yeah, we're on the stairs there. She's starting to get menacing and aggressive and wants to tear me apart with her fungly fingers. And I pull out this deck of
No, she
cards.
actually sticks a knife in your shirt,
Oh,
and
it's a
you're
knife. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Uh, so I pull out this deck of cards and I say, I think I can see the path for you to this 10th life, and it's not through me like you might think it is. Like, look at these teeth. You don't want this life. Like my bones are just as brittle as yours. And so I pull out the deck of cards, say, pull a card there. She pulls a card, pull another card, pulls a card, um, and then pulls a third, hands them to me. And remember, I'm not able to see these, but I recognize the feel of the cards. And one of them is waxy in a way that I can tell it was once a packaging for butter. And this reminds me of, back in when I was younger and I was experimenting with illegal divinities. And if you recall, I had as a child, lost a shoe, was walking, had blood coming out of my foot from the gravel. There was a goat trailing behind, lapping it up. Um, was still, later in poverty and, excuse me, had set up outside of a restaurant to do the shell game to try and earn some money. But it was also kind of my belief that I could pull the divinity out of the restaurant itself, that there was something divine within that. And I had seen well-heeled people at the diner. I could see that they could afford a cup of grinding lord. I could see that they could afford a plate of chitterling bacon, and I figured they could afford to pass something on to me. So, being a little quick with words and with my hands, I set up outside with some tin cans, started doing the shell game. 3 empty tin cans, so I looked pathetic and hungry because I actually am pathetic and hungry. And then as they approach the diner, I'll say, "Hey there, pilgrim, pick up a stone. Down there where you've already trod, there's some gravel underneath your shoe." And as they give me a stone, I say, "Give me a stone and I'll cure what ails you." Put that stone under any can, rattle the cans around, show that 2 are empty, shuffle it up some more, lift a can and say, "Is this what ails you?" And it's an empty can. And I say, "No, your ailment's gone." And I shuffle it up again and I say, "This?" And another empty can. And I reach behind their ear and I pull out a little goblet of sickly flesh. And I say, "Your illness, it's with me now." And then I say, "Is this why you came here?" And I lift up the third can and it's also empty. The rock's gone. And I turn that can right side up and I say, "Perhaps you came here to pass something on to me in exchange for this." And, hopefully they give me a little money. I go into the restaurant or just go to the vending machine out back. And this is kind of where I'm talking with Patricia, recalling all this. And I say, "Patricia, I can see your future here in these cards. That your 10th life is actually going to come to you at a roadside diner. You'll have to travel to get there from here. You'll have to walk. Don't take a car. Don't drive. Don't take the train. Walk. But that's where you'll find your 10th life, and you'll need energy for that journey. So let's pause for a moment and share this sandwich." And I think from there, my hope is to give her the plastic wrap sandwich, and then cure a condition of my own, the
Oh,
abscess to mouth condition.
I will let you do that.
All right.
You share a sandwich with her. I think she actually apologizes. I don't think she realized that you had the gift of prophecy. I think she misunderstood her own prophetic insight that you were going to lead her to her 10th life. Um, and when it's done, she she apologizes again. She thanks you, and you can hear her, and you can only hear her. You hear her go down the little breezeway a bit in the tenement, and you can hear her kind of shuffling footsteps suddenly stop. She says, "What are you doing here?" "You go back and tell Isvan Skerrich that Gale doesn't want anything else to do with him." Am I supposed to be intimidated by that? I have learned where I am to find my 10th life. My God would not put danger. And then you just hear a slump. And you smell, now quite suddenly, a bloom, a fragrant, aromatic bloom of earth and old denim. And this person approaches you and puts their hand on your shoulder. It
Says,
is when they speak, you realize that it's Gideon Marsh, the farmer who was collecting fungus samples at the abandoned lumber mill near Weft, who I believe you met, Japheth, if I'm not
I did,
mistaken.
yeah.
He says, Mr. De Los Santos, how are you doing?
Uh, Changed, transformed, mostly for the better. And you,
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
I'm well. I'm very well. And I wanted to let you know that you don't have to worry about the 10th life anymore. The last of their adherents just got off that train.
Oh, there was only one left. I didn't realize their group had dwindled in numbers.
Well, it was always a very, very silly and radical form of worship, but I suppose that's the world we live in.
Mr. Marsh, you get around quite a bit. Tell me, what do you know about the growing facility here?
Mr. De Los Santos, I do want to help you. I very much admire the work that you and your companions at Biased are doing. I work for a family called the Sketteriches. The Sketteriches are very interested in the work that you and your custodians are doing. We think that maybe there's a way that we can help each other in our respective aims. The Sketteriches are very much in need of a solution to a very, very old problem. You might be able to help me out with that, in fact. It is my job to go out into the world and try to find these solutions. And I, of course, know things and see things.
Better than me these days. Kind of tap my eyeballs.
Maybe we can help each other out. Out of character, Zeph, do you still have the gloam? One of your colleagues, Zeph Harrow, has on their person a little toy worm that gently whispers. I was wondering if you might be able to get a hold of that for me, either through asking directly or through subterfuge, as is required in the moment. Bring it back to me, and I can give you a lot of insight, an insight into any of these troubles that Biased is currently dealing with.
I say, well, I can certainly look into it, but you do know they sell those at the floating market. The Revel Among the Ruins. They've got dozens of them.
Do they now?
Yeah.
Dozens, you say?
That's my recollection. Yeah, dozens.
Well, how very interesting. How very, very interesting indeed. You know, after all, I don't think I really do need you to go get that gloam from your colleague. That was very, very helpful, Mr. De Los Santos. I want to repay the favor, of course. And here I think he says, I happen to know something about that that god of travelers that's messing up things on trade roads over in the Whisper Plains, this
Indeed.
so-called Bowered companion.
Mm-hmm.
And here I need to look at the clues really quickly. He says, "This might be of use to you." And he hands you, well, he says, not use to you in particular, but use to you and to your colleagues. He hands you a map that when your colleagues look at it, they will discover that it is a map of the Whisper Plains, which is where that mystery takes place or that assignment takes place, with heavily blacked out with spirals in various places. And so I'll clip that clue for you really quickly.
I think I just got it.
Okay, great. He says, "Well, I'm glad we're able to help each other like this, Mr. De Los Santos."
Say, well, thank you. It's a pleasure meeting you again. I have a feeling we'll see each other more often.
Oh, I have a feeling we are indeed. And I think at this point, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to do with this scene. Yeah, he leaves and he goes back the way he came from and he stops and you can hear his footsteps and he stops approximately where he would have dropped Patricia Morell's body. And you can hear him say very quietly, with your hearing that is already becoming more attuned, "Oh, bless your blackened heart. I'm sure you'll find what you seek soon enough." And then he gets up and walks away. Let's go. Actually, I think I want another break here. That felt like a good break moment. I know it's a little quick, but I need to think about the next scene. Before we go, though, I want to kind of find out what everyone's doing. Zeph, did I give you a clue yet?
So I'm crouched in front of the guy trying to figure it out, and I
Yeah.
rolled a 12.
You rolled 12. Oh, okay, good. Okay, good. I need to think about that because that has big implications. And then Basil and Gage, you're just there with him. I think at this point, if you want to start thinking about your solution to one of the questions to Hungering Roots, you're going to have quite a lot of clues to rely on, and you'll have one more. You have one more coming as well down in the actual in the scriptorium. So let's take 10 minutes so you can think about potential answers, and then we'll come back and wrap up that scene and then maybe do that as well. Okay. Clues. Zeph, since you're kind of like hunkered down, you can actually see a clue. You don't get it from Leo directly, but you can see on the ground underneath a kind of table there's a pile of empty industrial fertilizer bags featuring a colorful illustration of the verdant mother blowing gently on a row of yawning seedling children stretching from their sleep. I put the text in chat. Clue, whenever you revisit the scriptorium, Basil, it has written over and over and over again, "The garden must feed. The garden must feed. The garden must feed." Everyone, all three of you, witness the conspiracy clue. Haven comes by. He doesn't notice you. He's just kind of walking slowly, like showing someone around. He doesn't pay any attention at all to what you're all doing. And he is with a person who is wearing a very sleek charcoal suit, a platinum blonde, transparently a platinum blonde wig. They have a very hungry gaze on their face, their eyes, and they're holding a folder which is stamped with a title, "Classified on the Birthing of Gods." and you can overhear a little bit of their conversation. This new person who you've never met before or seen, they're in the middle of something. They say, well, of course, there are lost sites of worship everywhere, abandoned when their relics grew too powerful or awakened something their worshippers could no longer appease. It is my duty and privilege to receive such marvels and keep them safe from a tragically undereducated populace. But let's cut to the chase here. You have something you shouldn't, and it's clear you have no idea what you're doing, Mr. Haven. The Sketteriches would be happy to take it off your hands, and you will be quite well compensated indeed for that. And Haven says, well, I'll have to give it some thought. We're doing a good business with these psychotropic teas. Mr. Haven, do you really think the Sketteriches can't match whatever you're making from your little tea sales? Haven says, give me until the morning. And they walk off. Japheth, once you're done with your encounter with Gideon Marsh, what do you do? Where do you go?
Every now and then just holler out, Zeph.
Waiting for someone to come get you. I like that. I like the idea of you just still sitting out there.
Zeph.
There's possibly like a murder like 20 feet away. Yeah. It's great. It's great. I love it. Yeah, it's good. So, Zeph, Gage, Basil, what are the three of you doing? The situation's getting a little hot here. It looks like the Sketteriches are moving in on this god. What do you do? Are you ready to answer a question?
I think we could take a good old crack at it.
Although we were hot on the 8 complexity one, and we're only at 8 clues.
It would be a flat roll. Yeah, that's for sure. But, you can always bump it up by marking the verse of prophecy. Everyone. if you fail. Yeah, if you think you need more clues, then you can certainly keep looking, keep going.
I mean, I could try to find some local person to heal in the quest of a clue.
I said that I was going to go
Some
back for
local
Zeph
person.
after I stare down this guy to try and figure out what was happening. I'm not going to leave him there forever.
You can kind of Leo's calmed down and fine. You all can get some first aid for your various injuries, which apparently Haven didn't cease too oblivious to care. Yeah. Gage, what are you doing?
After he wraps up, I can't remember where I got stabbed. Probably wasn't somewhere
Your
too
shoulder or
important.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. I got another one of those. I think we didn't spend a whole lot of time poking around in the growing room because Basil got chased out.
You got chased away. Yeah.
I think Gage might be able to find some insight there, considering his history.
I think that's probably fair. Yeah. You can definitely head over to the growing room. Basil, I'm going to say that if it's okay, you're down there getting your stuff from the scriptorium for the moment. Zeph, what are you doing?
I'm confused as to why Haven just wandered past a bloody employee, and then I kind of hear from behind me, Zeph.
Like in the distance. I love it. Do you go get Japheth?
I shall.
Okay, very good. Why don't we pick up at the grow room then? See if you can knock out a couple more clues here, give you a better shot at this. We talked about it a little bit, but let's remind ourselves. Potted shrubs and flowering vines carpet the floor, tables and shelves in a wall-to-wall explosion of greenery. Dazzling overhead bulbs rigged to a chaotic web of repurposed wiring and electronics bathe the room in artificial sunlight, while rotating fans give the impression of a gentle breeze. Let's paint the scene. How does this space invoke a sense of euphoria and timelessness.
Do I feel like we've done this
We
paint the scene before?
Yeah, I thought we
We
did.
did do
have. Let's
that.
just do. I just want to do it again.
Okay, 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 okay.
Are you wanting us to repeat the answers that we had earlier?
No, you can do something new. This is the cycle of life here. There's new
Oh, okay.
senses of
Okay.
euphoria
Gotcha.
and timelessness going on. Yeah.
I think the warmth and the diffuse light makes and that sense of euphoria. Everyone working in here is moving really slowly, and it almost looks like you're walking through a photograph.
After learning about this producing multiple different types of crops, as you look towards the ceiling, the vaulted ceiling of this warehouse space, you can see buds of fruits next to different sorts of leaves, and you can kind of see the tips producing new life that is completely different from the rest of what's growing.
I think there's like a misty, foggy gas that's actually coming up from the altar room. And when you like take a breath of that, it gives you a little like tinge of what you get from drinking the tea itself. And then I think that we've described like the colors in this room and the lights and that type of thing. I think that that like misty, foggy vapor like enhances that look to kind of give it that like out of time, timeless feeling.
We mentioned before the gramophone, but in the kind of underneath that is not just a quiet electric hum that gives a decent sort of brown noise, if you will.
Gage, what do you do?
I think being familiar with harvest gods, um, I think Gage wants to find. There's got to be prayer marks. There's got to be some hint about which god this is and what, uh, how it's being summoned here. So I think he's going to try and maybe dig around the roots of some of the growth here.
Take a information move with insight.
That's 10.
Nice. Give you a clue. Oh, you're digging around and you see something. You notice something on the wall, and you have to maybe clear some growth and maybe even some furniture to get a better look at it. It looks like it's something from the time of when this was a church slash orphan facility. It's a mural of a vivid, glowing rainbow tree. That's your ninth clue. Let's put Zeph and Japheth together.
Japheth?
I'm over here.
Yep, you sure are.
Where did you go?
I. It's God stuff. Don't worry about it. Are you all right?
Oh, I might have witnessed a murder, but I don't know. Hey, do you still have that little gloam doll? Can I see that for a minute?
You what? No, what?
That little
No.
doll you got back from the what was that guy's name? He was a junior, I remember.
Kaz, happy feet.
Happy Feet Junior. That's it.
Can Zav see a body 20 feet away from Japheth?
Yes.
Japheth, this is not a moment for toys. I don't know how you witnessed this murder, but I see the results of it, and we should leave.
All right, fair enough. But I think that I don't know. I'd be curious to see that gloam later, if you wouldn't mind lending it to me.
Indeed, someone has made the call at the tenement building. You hear in the distance.
All right, you. And I just grab him by the elbow and I start like frog marching him as quickly as I can around a corner and try to evade the
Get
incoming
away from the,
police.
yeah, exactly. Get away from the murder scene, the crime scene. I love that. Basil, what do you do when you're done with the scriptorium? Are you done with the
Yeah.
scriptorium?
Well, I am done in kind of a dramatic way, I think. That I've gotten these notes, and I think I am looking at the angel, and it's kind of like um, snorting and cawing and all making all of those weird noise. It wants more to write, but there's not. I don't want to spend that much more paper here. Uh, And so I think that I'm going to go up to it and just say, uh, thank you, great angel. Um, as is the custom, your time here is done. And anything that has a throat, I'm going to slit its throat and essentially like send the angel back
This is
to
spray
where it
ink
came
from the
from.
wound.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
I think that it's like that.
I love that. It's really good. When you
And
turn,
oh yeah, here we go.
also, I want to check in on Ben. We lost Ben. I don't know what's going on with Ben, so we'll just assume they'll be back with us soon. When you turn, Pickles is at the bottom of the staircase.
Oh, pickles.
You can see his vivid green eyes, or their vivid green eyes. We don't know what gender
Mhm.
Pickle is. Pickles is. You can or sex. We can see the vivid green eyes of Pickles in the fairly dim space of this altar space at the bottom of the ladder. How it got down is unclear because cats notoriously, famously, cannot climb ladders. Um, down, especially, or down anyway.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, and it's staring at you,
mhm.
and it's getting like its eyes are widening. What do you do?
I am um react to it almost like it's a cat. I understand that it's more than just a cat, but I'm going to look for something that's like a bowl or a saucer or a dish,
Hmm. I'm
and
sure
I'm
there's
going to
probably like some kind
catch.
of like terracotta, you know, planter plate or something. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, or yeah, like the base of of a pot, like that sort of like the what catches the water. I don't know what the name of that is. And I'm going to catch some of this ink that's coming from the throats of this angel dying, uh, as if it's milk in a dish or water in a
Oh,
dish.
that's really
And I'm
good. I
gonna
like it.
go over and serve it to Pickles.
I like that very much. Make the revelation move. What are you afraid is going to happen right now if Pickles does not accept this offering or if this otherwise goes badly?
Yeah, I mean, what I like, I've been tinkering a lot with like grafting gods together down here in a way. And I don't really know what I'm tinkering with. So what I would be afraid of um is there some kind of punishment if like Pickles takes on this like hybrid essence of the waxen scrivener, that there would be some type of like punishment or cost through my faith. I don't know exactly how that manifests, but it feels
Mmm.
like there could be, yeah, a very bad effect here.
Mmm. Interesting. And now I have to say how it's worse than that. I think this is really intriguing. I'm interested in this idea of a god that's whole raison d'etre is we all have 9 lives, and how we interpret those lives is important. It's not literal life necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Although in the case of Lucas, it seems like at least one of those lives was literal life. Um, Smashing up against the waxen scrivener, a forbidden god, that is all about memory, but not really memory. It's more about like recording and forgetting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I think
Mm-hmm.
is intriguing.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder if the waxen scrivener and pickles are enemies, philosophically
Mm.
speaking, or
Mm-hmm.
are
Mm-hmm.
they like like simpatico? I don't know. I'm quite pondering it.
There's a certain amount of, if you don't remember your lives before, there is a
Mm,
certain amount of forgetting and resetting that would happen over the course of those 9 lives that could be
mm.
simpatico if you want it to lean that way.
That's interesting. I like that a lot. Um, okay, so I think the way it's worse than that is you're going to discover. I think the waxen scrivener, because of the nature of the waxen scrivener's belief system and your own like, and this idea of like recording and forgetting,
Mm-hmm.
Pickles is going to reveal to you that you are on your 9th life,
Ooh.
which is, interesting in the sense that you probably don't believe it because you don't believe in Pickles. He's not your
Yeah,
god.
I would assume I'm
But
on my ninth life anyway,
yeah,
in a
well, that's
way.
not
But yeah,
exactly, yeah, but it could have
yeah.
other implications, right? Yeah,
Of yeah, like what were
yeah.
the 8 lives before? Um,
Precisely. And so, go ahead and yeah, go ahead and roll with communion. Disadvantage because of being watched by Pickles.
could we argue that it
Using the
would negate
scriptorium.
because
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
the
I'm into
final
it.
moment
Yeah,
of
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Okay. It is a 10.
Very good. Give me the scene showing how Pickles accepts your offering.
Um, I think I set it down. Um, I think just as if like I'm like feeding a pet or giving a pet water, I sort of like turn. Uh, I see it like reach down with its tongue, and its tongue starts doing that thing, and I just kind of yeah, like turn away, and maybe I'm tidying up a little bit. No, I wouldn't tidy up a little bit. I wouldn't. I would probably scatter more notes around and that type of thing. Um, and I think at some moment while I'm doing whatever that is, making a mess, thinking that I'm cleaning up, but then being like, oh, I should actually just, yeah, make more notes about this. Uh, I say, oh, but I do wonder how that tastes to pickles. And I turn around and I like crouch down to kind of like get a sense of like how Pickles is reacting to this. Um, do you want to
I
give me a hint of, yeah, your sense of
I
that?
think it's just a cat.
It's just a
I
cat?
mean, no, it's not just a cat, but it's behaving
Okay,
just like a cat. Yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah.
Its head
Um,
isn't flickering between other heads anymore.
No, it's just licking the ink blood.
I and I don't know about the like I don't know about this like faith or this belief around the 9 lives thing, but I would know the folklore of like that being a thing that a cat has. And
Mhm.
so I I'd probably say something like I'd like stroke its back as it's like drinking and just be like, there, like this will give you the opportunity to remember all of your lives that you've lived so far and provide record of them to the world, to the waxen scrivener. Um, this is a very precious drink that you're taking.
Gage, what are you up to right now? Now that you found a pretty feels like a pretty interesting detail here, interesting clue and context for this whole assignment. What next?
Um, ooh. Haven walking with the Sketterich representative,
Mhm.
uh, were they walking towards the offices or away from the offices?
I think away because I think that person was leaving, having given their ultimatum to Haven. Haven was showing them out.
That is handy.
Hmm.
I would like to try and find the offices.
I think you can do so. I think that there might be a role to just get into the offices without being observed, unless you were just walking right in.
Oh yeah, he's walking right in.
You're just walking right in. Okay. I think when you sort of, I think it's still the veiled move though, but just a slightly different kind of veiled move. What do you afraid is going to happen if this goes badly?
As much as he's trying to stride in as like he belongs here, he is bleeding from his shoulder
And
and leg.
you're limping. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, and I think you just get noticed and you get kicked. Yeah, and I'm assuming like you'll get kicked out or something, right? Okay, it could be worse, but this is only the veiled move. So roll with focus at disadvantage. See where that goes.
The focus is 7.
7. Um, hmm, you might as well bump it up because I'm going to give you a condition. So you've already got 3.
All right.
Write your verse, and I want to. I don't know if you all have used the verse for this assignment yet or not. That could be useful information. You have not, because especially if you're getting ready to finish this one, the verse of the inevitable harvest is still open. Each custodian describes a hope or dream they have of someday living in abundance with all their needs met, or you can mark one from your sheet.
Yeah, I'll take that. I was going to go for a verse of prophecy, but just in case we have to bump up.
Yeah. The verse of the inevitable harvest, you are all now responsible for describing a hope or dream you have of someday living in abundance with all your needs met. We might wrap the scene with that, or the session with that, in fact, if you want to go ahead and start thinking of them. But for now, you have control of the scene. Gage, just describe how you ably get into the offices, the admin area, such as they are.
I think he'll kind of press one hand to his wounded shoulder, and anyone he passes, just give a friendly nod. Good to see you. Yeah, good afternoon. And just walk towards the office. And if anyone asks any questions, he'll say, "Lovely gentleman said I could find some band-aids in here."
Good. Let's take a 3-minute break. Grab some water. Think about your verse of whatever it's called, the inevitable harvest, and we'll come back and we'll wrap the session with narrating verses of the inevitable harvest. Um, I'll see you in just a few. The verse of the inevitable harvest. Who wants to start?
I'll go. I'm the one who clicked it. Uh, I think as Gage steps into Haven's office and just kind of slowly closes the door behind himself, the first thing we see is that his limp just completely stops. He walks across the office, he drops his hand from his shoulder, and even though there's a little bit of blood, it's clearly not troubling him. And as he looks around at this lavish office, this fancy place for this fancy man, he thinks about his own dream of returning to his family farm and stripping it of Sweet Jolly Crunch Tooth's influence, burning those prayer marks wherever they lie, and returning it to how it used to be, how it should be. He'd grow corn, because of course he would, but he'd also grow other things, other crops, and he'd find others like him, folks who know how things should be, to take as farm hands, and maybe even his family. And it wouldn't be a lavish life, but it would be a good life, an honest one, with the presence of a God who, if not good, is honest.
Hop in. Japheth has a vision of stepping out the back door onto a porch and viewing a kind of a lush green rolling lawn. And he's wearing a pair of those two-tone leather spectator shoes, nice, clean, polished. Steps down into the grass and turns and looks down the side of the house, and at the edge of that porch is just a row of vending machine after vending machine after vending machine, and each one's just chock full food, clean bandages, all the sorts of things a person could want, and realizes he doesn't really have to wander anymore. He can just stay here on his porch and plug in coins and pull things out of those vending machines and into eternity.
Zeph, while pressed up against the side of a building, watching Japheth stare off into the middle distance, begins to wonder about why he was so interested in the gloam. And as Zeph has that thought, the gloam starts to whisper in their head about what wonderful things could be in store. And Zeph really has never thought of abundance or yearned for excess. And so what we see is this almost Zeph in a black and white different movie from the Gloam's Technicolor descriptions of the Scrooge McDuckian wealth and, oh, but you could have all of these beautiful people, or here is everything you could ever want. And while strolling through this house, this wealth, oppressive colors, Zeph just opens a door and sees a field leading to a rocky shore along what looks like a giant lake. And they just sit in a large rock, sit down cross-legged in a rock warmed by the sun, take off their shirt. We can see across their shoulders and chest a bunch of little dotted tattoos in ornate patterns. And if the camera panned in closer, you could see that each one of them has a little representation of a skull.
Basil's petting Pickles, and realizes has not attended to this wound of being stabbed in between the ribs and is losing a lot of blood, and passes out on the ground. And so what we see is kind of a vision of a restaurant kind of outside of a major city, and we see that there's plenty of people coming here enjoying a nice Sunday afternoon dinner. But what's interesting is what's going on out back. There's a line of vans, delivery vans, waiting, and we see Basil at the loading dock. And people are bringing foods from all over the peninsula, maybe even beyond, rare things, and bringing it up. And Basil samples it. He takes a taste of it, and as he does, he pulls back his blazer, and we can see uh, the wound from the spade is there, and it seems sealed, but he reaches in and can reach in deep as if he's reaching into his stomach, and pulls out a piece of paper and hands it to whoever gave him the food. They unfurl it, and it says, "You are blessed." And then we cut, and we just see Basil's blood flowing into the dish that Pickles is drinking out of.
A note for future self. Right now, Basil is down in the harvest altar feeding Pickles. Zeph and Japheth are maybe hiding from the police. They're at least getting away from the body of Patricia Morell and being implicated in that. Gage Wright has just snuck into Haven's office. Let's go to end of session. End of session questions. We have not done the first one yet. However, did you engage with a god, angel, or other divine manifestation? Everybody make their case. Zeph, you definitely did. The Cairn Maiden, if nothing else. Japheth, did you though?
We still don't know about Lucas.
Yeah,
I think Gideon Marsh is mortal, right?
Yeah, so Gideon Marsh is mortal. I do think, though, Lucas taking your hand, I think there is something special about Lucas, and I think he's something. He is some kind of divine manifest. He is a divine manifestation of some sort. I think you can take credit for it.
All right.
Basil, you definitely did. Gage, did you?
Wrestling with the divinely possessed Leo.
Oh, I'll take it. Yeah. And let's keep going to individual questions now. Zeph, did you do the monologue?
I had a whole plan, but we were interrupted by another pair of Sketteriches. So,
Mm.
no, I did not.
Did you struggle with your personal faith?
I did.
Yep, I think you did. Japheth, did you go out of your way to connect with the local community? Yes, you did. Did you deliver a monologue? Did you deliver the monologue?
I don't know if I quite got there. It was the thing with the cans and give me your illness, but I don't know if it's really that.
It was
Don't worry about it.
the nature of gods, the futility of individual choices. Yeah, I'm not sure it was quite those topics. Basil Lachams, did you go out of your way to connect with the local community?
Smoke break, if we count that.
I'll take it.
It wasn't a big
Yeah,
scene, but yeah,
I don't know if you went out of your way. You were in the middle of your
fair
job,
enough.
I think.
Yeah.
Did you undermine the orders of your superiors, or use the assignment to pursue personal interests?
I don't think so. I was in investigation mode again, I think.
Yeah, you really were. Um, Fantastic. I don't think we have any moves that fire off. Are there any unanswered first prompts at this point? Very well. Scars and wishes. Whoever wants to go first, please do.
I mean, I'll go. um, I really liked seeing some new moves out of some people. It's fun to see those start to come into play. All the 10th light stuff was really like, felt like God, a cat god on the fly, and that was great. um, the visualizations, Mike, today, you held up the horror, you held up the investigation, so props all around for that. Definite stars. Gage still being just suffering for the benefit of others in some ways is really fascinating. Like that whole reveal, like, oh no, I'm really holding all my wounds to make other people feel bad for me. That like you walk into the office and you're fine. That's super intriguing. Nice little star for that. Jason wants to know if we've finished questions.
Oh, I think I forgot. I think I forgot to call on Gage for the last questions. And we decided in chat that Gage gets credit for struggling with personal faith because of the flashback. So,
Perfect.
sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
I liked the phrasing of the church/orphan facility, now grow house. It's just a great visual all around.
Growing those
I
seedlings.
uh-huh. I think that the more I'm in the bones of this character, the more I like playing this game. And I think that there is just a lot more to come. So, wishes, I am looking forward to marking off some of these bodies that I've got to go and deal with because the maid and I now have 2 boxes checked, and I'm going to have to deal with some of that stuff. Or burn fast and brightly out of whatever sort of rage that Zeph is working through. So I'm excited to see that. I don't know. I loved everybody's abundance scenes were really, really good. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, stars. I really, I continue to love the deepening of these characters. These characters go so deep, and we learn more about them every time we play. And I really think that's like I like how just how important that is in this game. Like if you compare it to the other CFB games that we published, at least, there I think because those characters in the case of public access in Brindlewood Bay, because they're basically kind of real world characters with real world concerns, and the case of the Between, because they're so genre focused, I think there's like a lot of like built-in understanding with all of those characters. It's still fun to tell their stories, but there's a lot of like built-in understanding. And in this setting, in this game, there's not a lot of built-in understanding. Like and so there's an incredible amount of like space to like play and indeed we need to hear about these characters. We really need the verses of history, right? To like to figure out who these characters are. We need the prompts. We need all the little like narrative bits, and so that part of the sort of mechanical milieu like does a lot of like extra work in this game. I think in a way that I find really fascinating and enjoyable. Um, and so and it always makes it interesting to sit down and play, you know, so that's really great, and and it's super cool, and I think you all just do a great job with like answering the prompts and like telling us about your characters, and always do a great job with paint the scene and all that business. So yeah, just from a sort of world building and storytelling standpoint, I thought this was a really great session. I really liked having you all back together at the grow facility. That was really fun. But I also really liked Japheth's scenes of like, you know, a, a man on the corner, you know, kind of dealing with a new disability, kind of dealing with like, you know, how he operates now in the world. Like that was really fascinating to see. Love that I got to kind of work some more Scatterich nonsense into all of this, and we're getting really close to that confrontation, by the way. Just need two more conspiracy clues. Um, so yeah, it was super fun. Just yeah, really enjoyable all around.
I'll go. It was a really fun session. As mentioned, I'm really loving seeing the interiority of these characters and seeing their histories. Highlights were Basil. Almost every scene was a highlight. You lean in on the weird and the unsettling, but with a jolly face that is really great. Blood for the Cat God was a particular highlight. Um, Sarah, I really enjoy Zeph's lack of patience for the Cairn Maiden. Just you're so over her presence and her uh, demands, and also just abandoning Japheth. Just like, yeah, see ya. Was great, which leads to every single one of Japheth's plaintive little Zevs. I just love that so much, and also just the continually healing everybody but your friends and coworkers. Just a great moment. Jason, I did not anticipate Patricia getting axed like that, and I appreciate that moment, and also that Japheth was there and couldn't see any of it. That was a really good horror movie moment, and the Sketteridge nonsense, and just yeah, having Haven walk past his employee being wrestled to the ground by bleeding people. Uh, like this is just a normal day at work. Okay, and I think that does say a lot about this world. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how we wrap up Hungering Roots, and I want more Gloam. I need to know more about the Gloams.
I do want to say a star for a little thing that happened in the chat, just so that people watching the video know about it too. But when I gave Gage the condition corpse dad, we had a couple of notes.
Oh,
Someone
God.
said
Yeah.
corpse bride 2 corpse dad, but also someone said corpse was it corpse dad 3, look who's composting now. That was pretty good.
Mhm.
So you know, I don't know
I
whose
was trying
joke
to
that was. It
RP
was
through
funny.
all of that.
Yeah. It was super funny. I don't remember whose jokes they were, so but Mike's maybe, I don't know, but really funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mike's. I had to start for the condition of corpse dead as well. But yeah, I love the baby doll heads filled with manure as a composting device, and just all the gross stuff with inks and tongues and slit throats on chimeras. There was something that the trial fight was. I don't know. It was good. It was like simple, almost comedic, and yet not at the same time, and life threatening too. I'm sorry, spade fight. Thank you. Uh, and then what else? And yeah, Sarah both ditching Japheth to just chase a glimpse of the Karen Maiden, and then chaperoning him away from a murder scene was quite funny. And I thought all those abundance verses were excellent. I really liked the visualizations from those.
Um, I think echoing the star on just like having the group together was nice and ties into my wish. But yeah, like even though like we like it felt kind of like um they came together and then they split apart, and Jeff that doesn't really like, but just kind of like being in the same space and intertwined is like a nice moment. And I think we maybe learn a little bit about the group. It might be something that would be interesting to kind of explore, that like we come together in these like very like brief moments, but it's sort of like an oil and water kind of thing is somewhat interesting to me. And
Yeah, you get the
then yeah.
impression that you all don't like each other very much. You know, like there's a distinct impression of like we don't like this job, and like none of us likes this job, and but we're doing it with these people who we don't really like. And I don't know.
Mm,
There's something a little like workplace comedy about it,
mhm.
but like more tragic, which I think is fun. Yeah.
Yes. And then I think kind of like jumping off of that, like, and this was, I think, one of Ben's notes about Sarah just being like done with the Cairn Maiden in a way. Um, every time those moments come up where like somebody is having a sort of like comeuppance or like a deeper feelings and assessment of like their relationship with their god, I really appreciate it because it makes me kind of have to like step back and think like, oh, how does Basil feel about the waxen scrivener? Am I in that same space? Am I not? Like, and I think that's like really interesting and helpful of like all these characters are dealing with their faith in a different way. And so, yeah, like everyone's individual journeys are a moment of reflection on our own as characters. So I've been really appreciating that. My wish is like a very tactical, I suppose, which is I am now at 3 conditions. I wish that I could find a Poxmarter to perhaps help me out here, or just GTFO and go somewhere else in order to reduce some of the stress on myself. Yeah,
Condition load is pretty high right now across the
it
board. Everybody
is.
but Zeph just has the one, but Japheth has four. Recently down to four. Was previously at five, and then Basil and Gage both have three. So yeah, yeah, pretty tight.
I have all that time on the road. I guess Zeph has done a lot of thinking.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
had it at a bonus star. I think the reason that we're having the trowel problem, if we want to call it that, is it's one of my original starting items. Is I have a silver trowel in my inventory,
Oh,
and I could
interesting.
have brought a trowel to a spade fight. And so it's a tiny wish that didn't happen. And there we are.
I love it. Thank you, thank you. Are there any more stars and wishes? Very well. We will end with a scene on that tugboat at the floating market. Kaz Happy Feet Jr. is down in the bowels of his tugboat establishment, walking ahead of someone behind him. He says, "Well, of course, I'm happy to sell all of these little guys to you. Um, I'm ready to kind of get them off my hands anyway. How'd you even learn about that? Well, never mind. That's neither here nor there. But Mr. Marsh, I have to ask, what are you gonna do with all of them?" And then Gideon Marsh, despite his age, he has big, strong farmer arms and hands. He puts a big rubber sack over Kaz's head, tightens it with a drawstring, and just holds Kaz there until he suffocates to death. And then he drops him down and he walks into this room filled with, it's like the whole bowel of the ship. It's the whole like, bottom hold of the ship, filled with dozens of little tiny baby cribs, rocking baby cribs, with walls high enough so the glomes can't see each other, with a little gloam inside each one. And biasts-based services will no longer be required at the floating markets. And with that, let's wave goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.